After renting a millionaire boyfriend for just two, she discovered an unexpected secret that changed everything. Mia scoffed at the absurdity of it all when she stumbled upon the ad, yet there was a gnawing curiosity in her chest. Could it really be true? Just $2 to step into a world of opulence that felt miles away from her cramped college dorm and the bustling diners she was used to? The allure of that sparkling life beckoned, but as she clicked rent on Ryan, she felt an internal shiver of desperation intertwined with excitement. Weeks into their charade, Mia grappled with conflicting emotions, the magnificent dinners and exclusive events making her heart race in fear and thrill. Despite Ryan's charming smile and suave demeanor, every time he offered her an uncharacteristically generous gesture, a designer dress for a party, an extravagant dinner with dim lights and laughter, she felt the sharp pang of inadequacy rise within her. She was merely an imposter in this shimmering existence. Uncertainty gnawed at her like a rat at cheese. Could she maintain this facade without being found out? Each evening spent with him left her spinning between exhilaration and dread. "Mia, don't you ever dream of this?" Ryan asked one evening, his eyes sparkling, as they walked through a gallery filled with art that would take her a lifetime to appreciate. The question hung heavy, inviting her to reflect. Did she? Or was she just living through borrowed dreams? The disparity between her student life, the late-night study sessions punctuated with the clinking of plates at the diner, and the allure of Ryan's world left her feeling more unmoored. As she joined him in lavish events filled with laughter and luxury, a troublesome thought intruded. Was she losing herself to this extravagant pretense? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she absorbed the luxurious environment around her, Mia couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom lurking beneath the surface. Days turned into a dizzying whirlwind, where the pleasant intimacy of their relationship felt weighed down by the nagging fear of what lay beneath Ryan's surface charm. When an intriguing conversation whisper slipped through the fabric of the charity gala they attended, revealing Ryan's actual philanthropic pursuits to fund opportunities for underprivileged students, her heart clenched. A trickle of admiration mixed with doubt. Here was a glimmer of light in a world saturated with darkness, but it called into question every interaction they shared. Could he truly have the heart he presented, or was this another layer of deception veiling his true self? Uncertainty twisted painfully, leading to sleepless nights filled with insistent thoughts. To love him felt like chasing a mirage, constantly seeking truth amidst glitter and facade. As rumors buzzed and whispers of scandal swirled through their social circles, Mia braced herself for the moment when Ryan's concealed truth unraveled beneath scrutiny. Would she still stand by him, or would the shadows of betrayal light a path back to her humble roots? With her heart racing and doubts clawing, Mia felt the tension close and the choice lay heavy on her soul. Would she dare to face the revelation that awaited? Mia's head spun like a whirlwind as the implications of Ryan's pursuits sunk deeper into her thoughts. Standing at the center of the gala, surrounded by the vibrant laughter and the clinking of crystal glasses, she felt more like a ghost than a participant. Each smile she plastered on her face felt like a mask, one that barely concealed the internal storm brewing within. The exquisite atmosphere seemed like a canvas painted with the lavish hues of affluence, but it also reflected the urgency of her predicament. Determined to untangle the threads of her confusion, Mia spent a restless night reflecting on her values. She could no longer ignore the disconnect between her reality and the world she was part of. As the dim light of dawn crept through her dorm window, illuminating the tattered volumes of her textbooks, a sudden resolve struck her. She needed to confront Ryan about the truth of his intentions. Avoiding the question could no longer suffice. Was it love they were building, or merely an escape from their respective truths? The next evening, during a cozy dinner at a trendy rooftop restaurant, Mia feigned nonchalance as her heart raced. A gentle breeze tousled her hair, carrying the scent of expensive perfumes and distant sea salt. The breathtaking view before them made the world feel limitless, yet it only highlighted her own constrictions. Ryan, oblivious to her turmoil, engaged in light-hearted conversation, his playful banter easing the tension ever so slightly, but Mia remained focused on her inner dialogue. "You need to speak up," she reminded herself as they clinked their glasses together, the sound echoing through her fear. This has gone too far. Hesitation clawed at her throat, and she cleared it gently. Ryan, she began, her voice steady yet soft, I've been thinking about what I've seen, how much good you're doing. But I can't shake the feeling that I don't know the whole story. Each word spilled out, and with each syllable, she felt the pressure release, albeit only slightly. His smile faltered for just a moment, then returned with effortless charm. Is that so? What exactly are you afraid of? Fear of the unknown, I guess, she replied, probing her own insecurities. I mean, we're living a lie, aren't we? I know I'm just renting you. There's this facade and it's beautiful, but what happens when the glitter fades? Doubt surfaced again like a shadow ready to consume her. Ryan leaned forward, his expression shifting from playful to earnest. Mia, I'm not just a rich face. What we have, it's real. Or can be. But if you're feeling this way, then maybe we need to clarify a few things about us. His words struck her, igniting both hope and apprehension. Could there be more underneath this extravagant pretense, or was it merely bravado aimed at keeping the illusion intact? They were treading on shaky territory where vulnerability mingled with possibility. The conversation seemed to travel down a winding road where fear and desire intersected. What if the truth isn't what we imagine? She questioned, challenging the foundation of their playful deception. What if there's a part of you that's still hidden and a part of me that's scared to truly connect? A moment of silence lingered between them, charged with unanswered questions. Suddenly, she felt the dreadful weight of choice crush down on her, a point of no return. The prospect of diving deeper into the emotional pool they had both carefully avoided was intoxicating yet terrifying. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the city, Mia realized she stood at a crossroads. Would she dare to plunge into the depths of their shared reality, or retreat back to her comfort zone, keeping her heart shielded and her uncertainty at bay? The choice loomed ahead, heavy with the possibility of revelation. She could sense it, the time had come to face the truth, not just about Ryan, but about herself. With trembling resolve, Mia took a deep breath, preparing to confront the hidden layers surrounding their connection. Was she ready to take that leap into uncertainty for a chance at authentic love and self-discovery? The answer felt dangerously close yet agonizingly out of reach. Mia's heart pounded violently against her chest as she considered the moment stretching before her, a fragile thread connecting her to a truth she had been avoiding. Ryan's expression urged her not to shy away, but she felt as if a chasm lay between them, one filled with the very doubts that plagued her. She had pushed him to the brink of vulnerability, yet here she was, teetering on her own edge. Why don't you trust me? Ryan asked softly, his eyes penetrating hers with an intensity that felt disarming. Her instinct was to retreat, to deflect the probing questions that threatened to expose the raw truth beneath her facade of indifference. It's not trust, she managed to reply, her voice wavering. It's more about understanding. About what we are, what this is. She gestured between them, the uncertainty hanging heavy. Ryan maintained his gaze, reflecting back her unease with a strange blend of compassion and expectation. The city lights twinkled below, the serene beauty juxtaposed with the tumultuous feelings that churned inside her. For a fleeting moment, Mia envisioned a life stripped of artifice, where emotions weren't intertwined with pretense. She wanted to believe in that possibility, not just for them, but for herself. I can't promise you all the answers, Mia, he said, the lines of worry framing his brow. But I'm here. If you give me the chance, I'll share everything, the good, the bad, and the complicated. His voice steadied, grounding her in that moment of introspection. Through her internal haze, a fresh wave of clarity washed over Mia. It was time to peel back the layers that had built up over years of self-preservation, the very instincts that had led her into the arms of someone like Ryan. She realized the truth wasn't solely Ryan's to unveil, it was about dismantling her own barricades. If we're going to take this leap, I need to know if you really mean it. Can you handle the truth of what we've created? His smile returned, etched with a newfound seriousness. Truth or nothing, right? Maybe our worlds are different, but we're here now. Why not seize it? There was a comforting strength in his words, a tether that snapped her free from the weight of her hesitation. This wasn't merely about them, it was about her strength to face discomfort head-on, to reshape her experience of love into one that didn't rely on lavish pretense. With resolve coursing through her veins, Mia took a deep breath and leaned in, lowering her voice as if afraid the wind might carry off her next words. "I've hidden behind my grades and my ambition for too long. I thought I could play it safe, yet here I am longing for something real just beyond reach." "Then let us make it real," he implored, leaning closer. "Tell me all your fears, your insecurities, we'll face them together. No more pretending. This wasn't just a game of emotional chess, it was a partnership waiting to blossom." The exchange moved beyond mere words. Each moment of honesty breathed life into her thoughts, igniting an uncharted territory within her mind. As they navigated the depths of their conversation, Mia recognized how fear had held her captive in both her personal and academic pursuits. Her thoughts shifted dramatically. She envisioned shedding her old skins, embracing vulnerability, and reclaiming her own narrative. With each confession, she felt lighter, inching closer to the essence of connection she craved. However, an unsettling undertone whispered of doubt still lingering in the corridors of her mind. Would opening up unlock the secrets of his life just as it had her own? The moment of truth hung suspended in the air. Mia was ready to confront Ryan's hidden layers, even if they threatened to crumble her own constructed reality. Bound by the urgency of the present, she embraced the uncertainty but also felt the shadow of potential revelations looming over them. Her heart raced in anticipation. There was still so much left uncharted. Was she truly ready to unmask the vulnerabilities lurking beneath Ryan's polished surface? Or would his revelations challenge the newfound clarity she had so carefully cultivated within herself? As the stars began to shine brighter, illuminating the paths they would tread together, Mia took another leap. "Fine," she said, her voice resolute. "Why don't we start from the beginning?" A spark ignited in Ryan's eyes, a mixture of relief and apprehension. For Mia, she understood the depth of their connection hinged on what lay ahead, a journey riddled with revelations neither could foresee. What simmered beneath the surface of their carefully curated lives still loomed, but she was ready to face the truth together, no matter how tumultuous their path might be. With a sense of urgency, they embarked on this unpredictable journey, with Mia's heart daring to dream of what lay just beyond the wall of uncertainty. As she reached out toward Ryan, a question surfaced, echoing her thoughts. Would their leap into honesty propel them toward genuine connection, or would it reveal dark truths that could shatter their fragile bond? Mia's stomach twisted in anticipation as she prepared to dive into the unknown depths of Ryan's world. A fresh surge of determination coursed through her, her resolve bolstered by the evening air that seemed charged with potential. "Let us really do this," she said, her voice slightly steadier now. A mixture of excitement and fear gripping her without reserve. They settled into a more relaxed rhythm, the soft hum of the city a backdrop to their intimate exploration. Ryan took a breath, steadying himself as if he were about to reveal a great secret locked within. "Okay, here goes," he began, his voice low and deliberate. "I've always been driven, pushed to excel not just because I wanted to, but because I had to. My family expected a lot from me." Mia clenched her hands, feeling the weight of his words. It echoed eerily with her own lifelong pursuit of perfection, illuminating shared burdens that both attracted and terrified her. "What do you mean?" She prodded gently, needing to understand not just the facts but the implications behind them. Ryan shifted a little, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. "I didn't want to disappoint them. So, I became someone who followed every rule, ticked every box. I got into a great college, joined all the right clubs." But he paused, his eyes clouding with some unspoken weight. "I lost track of who I really am. I'm not the golden boy everyone sees. I'm actually really lost." Mia's mouth went dry, his confession striking a chord deeply buried within her. She had always felt like an imposter, labeling herself the driven student, while battling relentless classrooms of doubt and anxiety. "Lost?" she echoed, trying to connect his revelation back to her own reality. "What do you mean?" "I am terrified all the time," he admitted, his voice shaking slightly. "Afraid of failing, afraid of what others think. The pressure is suffocating. When I'm with you, I can breathe. But that doesn't mean I know how to break free from all this." His words pierced her defenses, leaving her momentarily speechless. She realized how intertwined their fears of inadequacy were, spinning new threads of empathy into their budding connection. "Ryan, I get it. I felt that pressure, too," Mia confessed, her voice a mixture of sympathy and understanding. I've always tied my self-worth to grades or achievement. I thought if I just secured a flawless record, it would prove my value." His eyes held hers in a quiet intensity that seemed to amplify the silence between them. Mia's heart thumped louder, every nervous question she tucked away surged to the forefront of her thoughts. "But how do we redefine that?" she asked, grappling with the embarrassment of voicing such a private concern. Ryan leaned in, the seriousness of his gaze urging her to dig deeper. "What if we gave ourselves permission to fail? What if we embraced our insecurities instead? Let's be honest, even when it cuts." Mia steeled herself. His challenge ignited something profound in her, opening the floodgates to a sea of possibilities. What if raw honesty could empower them to rewrite their narratives? "Maybe we can start holding ourselves accountable," she ventured cautiously, "not just to our accomplishments, but to our experiences, both good and bad." "It could be what we need." "Exactly. We need to understand each other beyond our visions of perfection," he replied, a hint of admiration creeping into his tone. "Are you in?" The solemnity of their pact hung heavily in the air, merging with the anticipation of what these revelations could mean for both of them. They were standing not just at the crossroads of their lives but at the brink of a joint adventure that invited vulnerability and honesty. As Mia felt a cautious optimism expand within her, she knew the dangers ahead weren't merely relational. She'd need to face her own long-standing fears, uncomfortable truths about herself that had lain dormant for too long. And judging by the intensity of Ryan's expression, she could sense his uncharted territory awaited him as well. Encouraged, she met his gaze head-on, her voice more resolute. "Let us uncover those truths, then together. We take it one layer at a time, no masks allowed." In that moment, beneath the stars that witnessed their resolve, Mia felt an unusual sense of clarity settle over her. Perhaps this journey, rife with discoveries and hidden complexities, was exactly what she needed to open the door to her own authenticity. But deep down, lurking still, a gnawing fear remained. Would their shared honesty forge a stronger bond or expose the jagged edges of their pasts that could threaten to pull them apart? As they prepared to unravel the next layer of truth, the weight of the night pressed upon them. Mia understood that each revelation could either fortify their connection or send tremors through the fragile ground they were building together. With a niggling doubt resurfacing, she wondered if they would be ready for whatever lay ahead. One thing was certain: there was no turning back now, and the real adventure was just beginning. Mia woke the next morning with a gnawing sense of uncertainty lodged in her chest. The sunlight streamed through her curtains, warm and inviting, yet her mind was too tangled to embrace its brightness. Did she truly want to peel back the layers of her life, exposing her vulnerabilities to Ryan? The prospect felt both exhilarating and terrifying, like standing at the edge of a cliff, the desire to leap battling with the instinct to retreat. As she prepared herself for the day, she glanced in the mirror and scrutinized the reflection staring back at her. Her features were familiar but also foreign. The person she saw felt like someone caught between two worlds, one of pretense and the other of an unpredictable authenticity she longed to explore. The mask of the perfect daughter, perpetually achieving, weighed heavier than ever. In her mind, she began crafting a plan to explore this newfound commitment with Ryan. What would be the first layer to unravel? What hidden fears needed to surface? Those questions lingered as she entered her classroom, knowing that the day ahead held both anticipated conversations and unforeseen challenges. Her mind remained distant during lectures, each word from her professor becoming a dull murmur, while snippets of her agreement with Ryan flashed through her thoughts. This uncharted territory required bravery, and Mia was determined to confront her tangled feelings head-on. But the thought of laying it bare to Ryan, what if showing him her raw self, led to disappointment? Determined to find clarity, Mia decided to invite Ryan for a coffee. The casual setting felt comfortable enough to nudge beyond their initial revelations, but she still felt a flicker of dread at expressing truths. When they met later that day, the cafe buzzed with life. Its aroma of roasted beans created an atmosphere of familiarity, yet her heartbeat drummed erratically in her ears. As they settled into a corner booth, she grasped her mug tightly, its warmth radiating against her palms, a lifeline in the emotional tempest swirling within. "Hey, so I was thinking about what we talked about last night," Mia began tentatively, forcing herself to maintain eye contact. Ryan leaned in slightly, genuine interest reflected in his eyes. "Yeah? What's on your mind?"
Taking a deep breath, Mia knew it was now or never.
I want to unpack our pressures, what drives us, but also what paralyzes us. The words spilled from her with a mix of trepidation and resolve.
We can't just scratch the surface if we're going to do this together.
He nodded, the weight of the conversation thickening the air between them.
Sounds good. But it'll be uncomfortable.
Mia smiled nervously, feeling her pulse quicken.
I expect that.
If we're going to face our fears, we should embrace the discomfort. A slant of sunlight caught Ryan's face, illuminating the contours that spoke of both strength and vulnerability.
Alright then, let us get real. What is one thing you wish you could change about your past?
As Mia considered his question, the easy conversation of a few minutes ago dissipated, replaced by the looming reality of their pact. The weight of her answer pressed heavily on her tongue.
Would revealing her deepest insecurities make her feel liberated, or would the truth shatter their connection? Honestly?
She started cautiously, her heartbeat echoing in her ears.
I don't think I've ever been truly honest about my failures. I did well in school, sure, but it felt hollow. I was terrified that if I slipped even a little, people would see how unworthy I really am.
His expression shifted as he processed her words, peeling back the layers of her facade with an intensity that left her exposed.
I get it. It's the pressure that makes you feel like a fraud, isn't it? Mia nodded, a lump forming in her throat.
The challenge ahead felt daunting, yet here they were, confronting the core of their fears together. Each revelation felt like stepping into a storm, exhilarating and terrifying simultaneously, yet, as the conversation deepened, Mia's mind buzzed with a question that lingered.
Like a dark cloud, what if their honesty became a double-edged sword? Would they emerge stronger, or would it cut their fragile bond to shreds?
With the sun setting, casting shadows against their table, Mia realized they'd taken a momentous step into a realm where assurance waned and the raw essence of their beings began to surface. The foundation they were building felt precarious, yet she sensed the thrill of potential within the uncertainty. Let us keep talking, Ryan urged, leaning in closer, the pulsating energy between them palpable. Mia braced herself, knowing they were on the brink of unearthing something monumental.
What else are we hiding? She whispered, the tremor in her voice betraying the battle between fear and curiosity. This newfound honesty ignited a flame of hope tempered by anxiety, leaving her to ponder what they would discover next. Would they emerge whole from their revelations, or find themselves entangled in the shards of their pasts? Mia felt the surge of anxiety coursing through her veins as Ryan's question sliced through the air like a knife, prompting her to delve deeper than she'd ever anticipated. This was no longer just a chat over coffee. It was a pivotal moment brimming with potential for transformation. Yet the fear of what lay ahead gripped her tightly.
Maybe I'm scared of what will happen if I actually let someone see me, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. The real me, not just the facade I've crafted.
Ryan tilted his head, absorbing her honesty. Mia, everyone has layers.
What we show others is just a part of us.
Unpacking can be painful, but it's necessary for growth.
His response hung in the air, and she felt a flicker of resentment intertwining with appreciation. Growth was daunting, and she was uncertain about what she would uncover.
You make it sound so simple.
It is simple but not easy, he countered, his tone firm yet supportive.
I think we fear what might happen if we're vulnerable, but what if we discover strengths we never knew we had?
The prospect intrigued her, igniting a spark of determination mingled with apprehension.
You felt that, didn't you? When you let your guard down?
Ryan's breath caught, and he leaned back slightly.
Yeah, I think I did.
It was liberating but also terrifying.
I've never been one to be a part of a group, always felt like an outsider.
When I started sharing my experiences, I realized I was actually connecting with people in a way I'd never anticipated.
Mia contemplated his words deeply.
She had long been the person who excelled academically, the one who was deemed reliable and achieved.
But what was behind it all? Fear? Loneliness? A gripping need for validation?
While his revelation exposed a new perspective, she felt the walls around her heart growing thicker at the thought of actually delving into her experiences.
Can I be honest too?
She asked, her voice trembling with uncertainty. There is a part of me that worries if I go too deep, I won't be able to come back up. If you want to answer, do it at your own pace, he replied, the sincerity in his voice urging her to contemplate the essence of creating space for her vulnerability. Mia shifted in her seat as she considered her next words, aware of the weight of her past shaping her choices. I guess I fear rejection. If I show my true self and it's not accepted, I think that's what paralyzes me. Ryan's gaze never wavered. You know, rejection isn't the end of the world. It's just a part of life. What's worse, the possibility of being rejected or living a life suffocated by fear? Each heartbeat echoed in her ears, and there it was, a direct challenge to confront the essences of her existence. What lay hidden in the recesses of her heart? The thought of exploring her past terrified her, yet the idea of being trapped within her own walls was equally daunting. Taking a deep breath, she spoke, releasing the words with a trembling resolve. I think the fear of being unworthy ties into everything about me. My grades, my friendships, even my parents' expectations. I created a perfect life around it to mask the insecurity that shadows me. The honesty felt like a naked truth laid bare, one she had tucked away for far too long. As liberating as it was, it left her feeling exposed. Ryan held her gaze, reflecting back a mixture of empathy and understanding. Thank you for sharing that, he finally said softly. That's a huge step. And it was a step, the first into a sea of discomfort that felt both inviting and treacherous. Would sharing layer after layer of her past reinforce her sense of self or lead to further disarray? The thought played tricks with her mind as she tried to dismiss it. Linking arms with courage, Mia felt the notion of discovery flood through her. What revelations awaited if they kept peeling back the layers together? What's the next layer? She asked, edging further into the unknown. Ryan smiled. Let us tackle our biggest fears. They might just be the key to unlocking our true selves. Just as warmth surged through her, a feeling of uncertainty settled back in. Was embracing those fears enough to hold their bond intact? As they leaned in closer, ready to confront the vulnerability, Mia's heart quickened at the double-edged sword of their journey ahead. What would they uncover, strength or destruction? Her mind raced. Was she truly ready to face the deepest fears that had held her captive for so long? And just how much could she handle before it all fell apart? Mia's heart pounded as she absorbed Ryan's words. The prospect of confronting her biggest fears was exhilarating, but terror crept in with memories of old battles fought and lost. She had conditioned herself to steer clear of pain, building an impressive wall of achievements, yet that moment forced her to reconsider the architecture of her life. What does that entail exactly? She inquired, voice layered with apprehension yet colored with curiosity. Diving into the things that scare us, Ryan replied, his eyes brightening with the challenge. Think of a fear, no matter how small. We'll dissect it together. Mia swallowed hard. The mere idea of exposing herself left her feeling naked, raw against the chill of vulnerability. She glanced around the cafe, suddenly self-conscious of being seen by strangers. Identifying her fear seemed to magnify its power. Still, she gripped the edge of the table as if anchoring herself to something solid. What about the fear of failure? She offered, surprised at the words tumbling out. Every time I step out of line, I feel like I'm letting everyone down. Ryan nodded, his expression encouraging. Failure can feel like a bottomless pit. But what if we approach it differently? Instead of seeing it as an end, think of it as a stepping stone, a part of the process. The thought intrigued her. Failure had always been her greatest enemy, lurking in the corners of her mind, ready to pounce on her insecurities. The notion of failure as a process, however, was a shift she hadn't considered. Perhaps it could serve not just as a fear but as a teacher. What would you do differently if you weren't afraid of failing? He prompted. Mia paused, letting the question roll over her like a wave. In truth, if fear didn't cloud her vision, she might chase after opportunities, speak her mind without hesitation, or even pivot her career path. She imagined herself vocal in meetings, vibrant and brimming with ideas, instead of a quiet observer, too scared to make waves. I'd take risks, she finally admitted, the realization washing over her, exhilarating and terrifying all at once. I'd seek new projects, put my name out there for things I want, my dream job. Ryan smiled, his approval infusing her with warmth. There you go.
Channel that into something actionable. What's one small step you could take this week toward that dream? Mia's mind raced through options. Could she approach her boss with a project proposal or volunteer for something outside her usual scope? What if she articulated her aspirations to someone she respected? Would that open the doors she delocked?
I think I can draft a proposal, she said, her voice gaining strength. Something outlining my ideas and how I can contribute.
I can do it by the end of the week.
That's brilliant, Ryan encouraged, leaning forward, his enthusiasm contagious, but as excitement simmered in her chest, the fear of judgment bubbled up beneath.
What if it didn't resonate? What if their skepticism only confirmed what she feared most, that she wasn't worthy of success?
Okay, Mia, she whispered to herself, feelings of doubt dancing dangerously around her resolve. She could either let those doubts swirl and dictate her choices or seize the moment and carve a path forward. Also, Ryan said, his tone shifting slightly, embracing failure could mean facing some past failures as well. Not just in work, but in friendships, family.
The implications of unpacking past failures hit her like a wall. What awaited her in those memories? Would revisiting moments of disappointment deepen her wounds or furnish her with strength? Mia's stomach churned as she mulled it over. Could she unearth old scars and live to tell the tale? Would there be healing on the other side, or would she simply be unearthing things best left buried?
I need to think about it, she finally replied, not fully committed but no longer turning away in fear. Ryan looked genuinely pleased, clearly recognizing the gravity of her internal battle.
That's all I ask. Take your time, and let us keep talking.
There's growth in reflection and
awareness, too.
Her head swirled with possibilities: the prospect of rejection, the chance of acceptance, and the promise of self-discovery. This dialogue felt like pushing open a door she had long kept locked, one leading to unfamiliar, potentially treacherous paths. Determination began to clash with doubt, forming a battle within her. She was ready to challenge herself, to inch past the barricades her fears had constructed.
What was next?
The call to action loomed, a thread calling her to weave courage into her tapestry of life. As they settled back into the real world around them, Mia felt the weight of her fears meet the promise of growth.
But still lingering was an unshakable feeling. What hidden truths would she discover if she dared to fully embrace this journey? And what would that mean for the relationships she was starting to form anew?
Mia spent the next few days in a whirlwind of thoughts, her mind a chessboard of ideas and fears. Each day seemed to stretch and contract around her emotions, capturing the ebb and flow of determination and doubt. She would rise early, staring at her computer screen, fingers poised over the keyboard, ready to outline her proposal. The screen, however, gleamed back at her like an unsettling mirror, urging her to confront the shadowed corners of her aspiration. As she simulated her pitch, her heart raced.
What if I don't articulate my vision well? What if they see me as just another cog in the machine?
The familiar grip of anxiety wrapped around her throat, squeezing tightly. Her ambition seemed to glimmer with distant possibility but felt insurmountable in a room full of seasoned professionals. To combat her looping thoughts, she began journaling. With each entry, she sought to peel away the layers of her fears.
Fear of failure is a weight I carry, she wrote one evening, pen scratching across the pages, but if I see it as a teacher, could it guide me rather than hinder me?
This simple perspective shift marked the beginning of a recalibration, an attempt to redefine her narrative from one of victimhood to resilience. Yet, as she addressed her professional hesitations, personal insecurities surfaced, uninvited. Old wounds in her friendships began to haunt her. Times she felt sidelined or unworthy in social circles. They screamed for acknowledgement, demanding she confront the notion that others would perceive her the same way. Every entry turned a spotlight on painfully significant moments from her past, a blaring reminder that moving forward required facing those ghosts. One night, after an exhausting day, Mia sought Ryan for an impromptu session at their usual cafe. The warm aroma of coffee swirled around her, grounding her frayed nerves. She needed to voice the demons that threatened her progress. "Ryan, I've been thinking a lot," she started, her voice steadier than she felt, "about my fear of failure at work and of rejection socially.
It's like they're connected.
I feel like every time I try to create something tangible, I'm haunted by doubt." "Those feelings are often entrenched in past experiences," he interjected gently, leaning in as if her confessions resided within the trembling air between them.
What is it about those experiences that stings the most? Mia hesitated, wrestling with vulnerability.
I feel invisible sometimes, like my worth is conditional, based on approval.
I fear no one will see the real me, the capable, creative person I could be.
Visibility is a powerful concept, Ryan replied, his gaze penetrating.
What if you focused on making yourself seen?
Not just to others, but to yourself first.
How would it change things?
Assigning meaning to her self-worth was no easy feat. Realizing that her quest for visibility meant revealing her genuine self shook her foundation. She envisioned scenarios where she laid her ambitions bare, bracing for critique while hoping for validation.
The very notion made her pulse speed, excitement briefly overriding anxiety.
I think I know how to do that, she blurted suddenly, the idea igniting within her like spontaneous combustion. I'll present not just my proposal but also who I am, my beliefs and values. If I speak from that place, maybe they'll see the heart behind the pitch.
Ryan nodded slowly, pride illuminating his features. You're digging deeper, Mia.
That's the core of effective communication. It's not just about selling ideas, it's about sharing a part of yourself.
Your authenticity will resonate. Her resolve solidified.
She returned home with a fire flickering inside her, ready to immerse herself in the creative challenge and ready to fully embody her truth.
Yet, beneath the excitement was an undercurrent of lingering apprehension.
Was she truly ready to unveil this authentic self to an audience that had once felt so daunting? The week unfolded, guiding her towards the inevitable confrontation. Mia meticulously crafted her proposal, blending her professional aspirations with reflective insights into her character. The deadline loomed, and the breath of potential failure lingered like a shadow over her draft. As the day of the presentation approached, nerves spiraled again. Clarity began to falter under new waves of doubt. Would her vulnerability be met with appreciation, or would they see her as weak? In the early hours before her meeting, Mia sat alone, a warm cup cradled between her hands. She was on the precipice of something transformative, yet her mind raced with the possibility of rejection. But amidst the chaos of thoughts, a new question emerged, pressing against her consciousness. What if this experience, regardless of the outcome, became the acceptance of her own worth? Fear and all, as she took a deep breath, preparing to step into the day, a profound realization gripped her. Clarity was within reach, but only if she dared to navigate the uncharted territories of her own heart. What awaited her during the presentation would not only reshape her career but could redefine her own sense of identity. With that, she stood, both excited and terrified at the prospect of everything she was about to both reveal and discover. Would she emerge with the confidence that had eluded her for so long? Or would she find herself further entangled in the suffocating vines of self-doubt? As Mia entered the conference room, her heart raced, a relentless drum echoing the turmoil within. She glanced around, seeing the familiar faces of her colleagues, the confident smiles of women who played the part effortlessly, men who carried the air of authority without breaking a sweat. It felt like stepping into a lion's den, and she could already hear the growl of skepticism vibrating in the air. Taking a deep breath, she reminded herself of her newfound mantra: vulnerability breeds resilience. She had transformed her fears into something potent, a fuel that could propel her forward rather than paralyze her. The enormity of the moment settled over her. This was not just a presentation, it was an unveiling of herself, a bold proclamation that she was ready to step beyond the shadows. With every unfamiliar gaze that met hers, Mia felt an instinctive urge to retreat, to shield herself. But she swallowed her apprehension, gripping the podium as if it were both anchor and lifeboat. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice steadier than the storm within. "I'm excited to share not just my proposal, but also the person behind it." As she launched into her presentation, weaving in her personal stories and experiences, she began to feel a shift. Each word released some of the tightness in her chest. She spoke not just of numbers and strategies, but of her passion, of why this project mattered to her and how it aligned with her values of sustainability and community impact. However, as Mia navigated through her carefully crafted presentation, she encountered unexpected resistance. Dave, a senior member known for his blunt critiques, leaned forward, arms crossed, challenging her vulnerability. "That's great, Mia, but how can we be sure your emotional connection translates into results? This is business." A sharp inhalation pierced her confidence, a reminder of the skepticism she feared.
Yet, instead of shrinking away, she locked eyes with him, steadying her gaze. I believe when we connect emotionally, we create a stronger drive towards our goals. Results come from inspired teams, and I want to inspire my team. Each word rang out, reinforcing her resolve to assert her stance as both a skilled professional and an authentic human being. The conversation shifted as she fielded more questions, some affirming, some probing. Each inquiry tested her mettle, peeling back layers of her conviction, but instead of faltering, she found clarity in her responses. The dance between confidence and vulnerability became her rhythm, each slight hesitation transformed into an opportunity to express herself more pointedly than before. Once the formal part of the presentation finished, an unnerving silence settled, and the weight of anticipation pressed heavily down. Mia sensed a tipping point. She had put forth something sacred, her essence manifested in professional ambition. What would they choose to see? Finally, her supervisor, Lena, broke the silence. Mia, your approach is refreshing. I appreciate your honesty. A tentative smile spread across the room, a ripple of supportive energy replacing the tension that had clouded the atmosphere. As the meeting adjourned, the adrenaline surged, leaving Mia both exhilarated and vulnerable. The ride home was a blur, mingling disbelief and relief. Had she truly managed to share herself so openly? The questions of acceptance and rejection began to bubble to the surface, still looming large in her mind. Back at home, she collapsed onto her couch, heart racing at the day's whirlwind. Had she truly found a way to step into her power? Or had she merely masked the undertow of doubt with words? In the quiet of the night, amidst stillness and solitude, the reality of the upcoming critique broke through her triumph. Did she truly believe that her authenticity would resonate and unravel the ceilings placed above her? What if the feedback wielded more weight than she anticipated? Would she land gracefully, or would this leap redefine her sense of identity yet again? Mia closed her eyes, envisioning the path ahead. The next day would bring the crucial feedback, the catalyst that would either consolidate her newfound strength or threaten to rip the stitches of her progress apart. And with that thought, she shivered, an electric pulse of anticipation and fear mingled, both exhilarating and daunting, as a new chapter unfurled before her already. The morning sun broke through Mia's window, illuminating a world vastly different from the one she had known just a month ago. Today, she stood on the threshold of personal and professional growth, ready to embrace the feedback from her presentation. As she prepared her day, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the mirror, a stark contrast to the girl who had once worn armor fashioned from perfectionism. The woman staring back at her radiated resilience and determination. Earlier that week, Mia had received an email from her supervisor, Lena. To her relief, Lena expressed deep appreciation for her presentation, emphasizing how her vulnerability had invited the team to connect more meaningfully with the project. Hearing the words impactful and authentic breathed life into Mia, igniting her spirit to pursue further opportunities without restraint. This morning was not just about the feedback, it was also an invitation to share her journey. She decided to gather her peers for an informal discussion. In that moment, Mia realized how far she had come, not just in her career but in her very self. No more walls of isolation, she was ready to collaborate openly and generate ideas, her voice emerging from behind her fears. When she arrived at the office, Mia felt an electric hum of anticipation coursing through her. She entered the meeting room, her colleagues already gathered, and she proposed the idea of a brainstorming session to develop their project further. As she pitched her plan, her heart swelled with unfiltered enthusiasm. No longer was she the timid girl hoping to please, she was a leader, confident in her visions. Let's set the stage for a workspace where everyone can showcase their creativity and perspectives, she urged, her voice steady and direct. I want us all to share what makes us passionate about this project. Let us intertwine our thoughts and build something extraordinary together. The room buzzed with approval. Previously skeptical colleagues leaned forward, engaged and excited. Mia had broken down more than just her fears, she had catalyzed an environment ripe for collective inspiration. They began to bounce around ideas, their energy fueling Mia's confidence. For the first time, she felt completely comfortable being herself, unburdened by the need for constant validation. This collaborative effort revealed another layer of her personal achievement. After the meeting, her peers approached her with their appreciation. You really are a breath of fresh air, one colleague remarked, a glimmer of admiration in her eyes. Their validation deepened Mia's sense of self-worth,
filling the void that had once echoed her fears in her pursuit of further growth. Mia also reached out to those she had felt distanced from. She invited her old friends to coffee, opening up about her recent journey and the struggles with self-doubt that had plagued her for so long. They, too, expressed their own trials, the conversations weaving new bonds reflective of their shared vulnerabilities. She had conquered the silence and hesitation, emerging with a compelling narrative of interconnectedness. Mia recognized that embracing her truth empowered not just her career, but her relationships too. The girl who had once felt an imposter was learning to own her narrative and hold space for the stories of others. By the week's end, Mia received news that her proposal had been nominated for a prestigious internal award, an indicator of her team's faith in her vision and leadership. As she stood outside the conference room where the announcement would be made, she felt a warm wave of gratitude wash over her. Regardless of the outcome, she had grown considerably. In that pivotal moment, standing at the junction of fear and hope, Mia exhaled deeply. She had transformed from being a caged student pursuing validation into an empowered professional embracing her authentic self. Recognition was merely the icing on the cake. The real achievement lay in the courage she had mustered to unveil her heart. As the meeting commenced and her name was announced to resounding applause, she understood that she had arrived not merely at a destination of professional recognition but within herself. Her confidence surged as she accepted the award, resonant applause surrounding her like a warm hug. The smile that spread across her face was genuine and full of self-acknowledgement. Now, Mia embraced the notion that failure and fear were merely stepping stones, not dead ends. Today marked a new chapter, not just in her career but in her life, where she had rewritten her narrative to reflect resilience, authenticity, and unwavering self-acceptance. This was her victory and assurance that she was deserving of success just as much as anyone else. As the applause echoed around her, she understood this: the story of her life as a brave protagonist was just beginning. To keep exploring more exclusive emotional journeys, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find their stories of personal growth. Don't hesitate to comment below with your reactions, interpretations, and predictions about the journey ahead. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who are ready to embrace their transformative stories. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second.